Oy vey. What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? We are here. We are live. We're still kicking it. And hey, we're still glad to be here with you all for sure. Wish that we were even more happy to be here after a get right win versus Syracuse, but unfortunately we were not able to accomplish that. 24-17 loss to Syracuse, and we will dive into all things about it. And make sure to join Kyle and Michelle's lead here. Make sure to get some comments in the chat, y'all. Definitely we will be talking through it. Even though the title is not therapy session anymore, Fancy State fans, this is definitely all that and then some for sure here today. But obviously we got Greg Leg here, and then we'll be joined by our good buddy Michael Tracy once again. So it's been a while since we've had Michael back on, but obviously he's been dealing with all kinds of hurricane jazz down in his neck of the woods.
No. He was living the high life in Italy.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot. Good for him. Man, even okay. So that's way better. But I know
now he came home to a hurricane.
He came home to a hurricane. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And Michelle will definitely be talking about some NC State softballs. They've definitely deserved their rightful shout out for sure. But again, y'all, any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, make sure to put them in the chat. We will get to them here. But Greg, get us started, man. I know you were there. Obviously, you definitely won by a huge margin the tailgate for sure. Heard nothing but amazing things about that Savage Wolves tailgate. But thoughts on the day, man. Initial thoughts on the game. Give us your thoughts here, brother.
I'm in a fun chat with some good NC State people, Hayes, Lancaster, Chungy, and Josh Goodson, and I don't remember who said it in our chat, but I think we've officially became a tailgating school. I think that's really the only thing we have to look forward to at this time. We still go to the games, all of us stay to the end, but it's just getting harder and harder to watch these things in person. And yet all four of us will be making the trip to California.
Amen. Yeah. So when do you head out for that, by the way?
Yeah, Wednesday morning. We got a red eye out of Baltimore, and we'll get out the Cali about lunchtime. So yeah, we'll go hit some sites. We've already made our itinerary. So I guess at this point it's just about that. I think 9-point dogs going into the game. I don't have a lot of expectations. California is a pretty good program. They've lost 2 games in a row. And I know we'll get into it, but they've lost some heartbreakers the last 2 weeks to some ranked schools. But yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, fortunately / unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it to the game as my wife and I were helping our cousin get married. And it was funny that literally this past Thursday, I saw a tweet where it basically showed it showed the Ole Miss LSU game. It showed the Oklahoma Texas game, and it was like, if you have a family member or friend that's getting married this weekend, then they're not good people. And I was laughing in the back of my head, being like, yeah, but they're like they barely even know that college football exists. And so I'm like, they don't know any better. Please forgive them. But yeah, definitely man, just keeping up with the game. And like, I was the unofficial, scoreboard for all the NC State people at the wedding. They're like, what's going on, And so like literally, whenever we would score one of our 2 touchdowns, I go, touchdown. They go, yeah. So but unfortunately at the end they would say, did we win? Nope, didn't win, unfortunately. But I mean, definitely to start the game, though, definitely got to give a shout. I mean, Doran gave a shout again. We'll definitely talk a little bit about Doran's comments for sure. But, it looked like it. I mean, and it sounded like, an amazing atmosphere, to start for sure. I mean, the black uniforms was definitely a huge fan, very clean look. Huge fan of it for sure. And, but again, I
still can't execute a blackout or a white out or a red out. So,
well, it's never going to happen, Greg. I let us know in the chat. I don't think NC State will ever, unfortunately, be able to accomplish a true blackout.
The student section gets the message, but our fans, they're our fans. Yep. I guess we'll just leave it at that. Bless their hearts.
They're set in their ways. Mm-hmm. Exactly right. Looks like we got our man Michael. Michael, what up, man?
What's up,
dude? Man, that beer's a little fuller, man, than we've seen it before, man. It's growing in a little bit. All right, there we go.
I haven't been back to work, a couple weeks, so I'll just let it go.
There you go.
That's right. I love it. Well, anyway, man. So what's going on, man? Were you able? Because when did you get back from Italy?
We got back Friday evening. So unfortunately, I did watch the Syracuse game live.
Well, and first of all, too, I mean, like, how bad was your area hit by the hurricanes? Was it?
Where I live, we were fine, but yeah, a lot of surrounding areas are not in great shape. But yeah.
Yeah, good. Well, that's a blessing. Amen. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, so we're just starting off kind of with initial thoughts, man. So initial thoughts of the game, man. What give it to us, man. Good, bad, the ugly, everything in between.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to the 3 turnovers. I don't think it's really hard to argue against that. I mean, we were able to move the ball. I don't think they were all in the red zone, but it was, within their 30, 35-yard line. So we were able to move the ball some, and then you just kill yourself with those turnovers. And the defense,
pre-snap penalties.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then defensively, I thought we were okay. I mean, you only gave up 24 points. Syracuse held the ball a lot, but in the red zone, we were pretty good in the red zone. Like I said, overall held them 24 points. I think we'd take that going into the game. But yeah, it is what it is at this point.
I think to your point, though, you're okay with giving up 24 points, having lost your leading tackler and your middle linebacker to a season-ending injury, and you only hold them to 24. So if you think about it in those terms, that's even more impressive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just frustrating, y'all, because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, it's been a long time since I can remember going 7 games into a football season and still just struggling to find that exciting thing, that really just was a huge positive to kind of lean on. And
I tried to tell you tailgating.
Well, tailgating. That's true. That's true. On the field, I guess that one big positive on the field.
I think
the only positive that I can really think of is really the young players with CJ Bailey, with Hollywood Spillers. But again, the problem, like we've talked about,
Rogers first TD. Yeah.
Exactly. But again, the problem though now, which is, and I want to kind of talk a little bit about, I was thinking a little bit about that. One of the things that bugged the heck out of me in Mark Gottfried's last year is how much he would hype up the young players. Be like, guys, we got so many young players, y'all. Like, you got to give them time to build. It's like, Mark, most of those guys are going to be gone by next year, man. Like, do you think Dennis Smith is going to stay and develop? Like, no, he's a one and done. He's out of here. And so same thing. It's like, all these young guys are great, but who's to say that some of these guys, at least some of these guys, will be gone next year? Again, I mean, as great as CJ Bailey is, like Ole Miss is taking note, Kentucky, all these, other big time schools that have, much bigger NIL pockets than we do. they're taking notice too to see how good CJ Bailey's looking so far this season. So it's just like, that's the problem, is I just feel like that's the only thing that Doran's really hanging his hat on right now, is that we have so many young guys that are looking really good. And it's like, well, yeah, that's great, but if they're of actual any significant status, then they're going to be noticed. So that's my thought. But go ahead, Michael. What were you saying?
Yeah, no, just along the same lines of that. It's the young guys you saw. I mean, that the catch and run by Smothers was like probably the best individual play maybe this season. I mean, he broke like 4 tackles on the run. And then Noah Rogers getting his first touchdown. That one was a little bit easier, but it was kind of a broken play. But that's what that's what good players do. They make something happen, and that's credit to CJ Bailey on that too for seeing him.
Yeah. I think if we just had any kind of semblance of a run game, this offense would be so good. You could run play action. No one's biting on play action. It's just it's just not good, and you're putting a lot of stress on a true freshman. And to your point, Michael, I think he's done really well given everything that he's been thrown at him in such a compressed and compacted time.
Yeah, agreed. Now, I'm looking here, but did Aiden White not? Oh, sorry, this is defense. Sorry, this is okay. There we go. There's Aiden White. Okay, cool. I couldn't find in my PFF grades. I was like, where's Aiden at? But yeah, no, okay, there he is. So yeah, played 78 snaps, which seems to be pretty much every single snap, which is good because I know we were kind of taking notice over the last 2 weeks that he kind of was falling back in terms of the number of snaps he was playing. So it was good to see him at least back in the fold completely, which is good. And in terms of performance-wise, he had 7 targets and gave up 7 receptions, which is definitely not a usual stat line for him. With 47 yards, 6.7 yards given up per reception, no touchdowns given up, which is, I guess, a good thing. But
we just played a lot of soft zone. They just threw underneath all night, and it just felt like a death by 1,000 paper cuts. Just watching that offense just go methodically down the field.
Good, agreed. But want to get to a couple comments here. Michelle saying there was an infamous fighting in the stands at the game Saturday night among NC State fans. How do we get here? Here's my thing. I'm sure that there's been a lot of media publicity about this daggone fight that happened in the stands, and I don't really want to spend much of any time on it. Really, just listen.
I think that was.
Like there's been
drunk college students. I don't think that was state fans turning on each other. Not a good look either way.
Well, and there's been also too. I'll say this too. There's been a lot of really creepy, like in-depth breakdowns of that fight, and it's like, all right, seriously, it was just not the best thing. But the only thing I will say about it though is, I mean, like, it was good to see NC State have some fight, but unfortunately, it was NC State fans having fight, not NC State team having fight. So, anyway, though, Carson saying the loss was not Doran's fault at all. Executional errors. We moved the ball really well. Syracuse made some big defensive plays. So
I mean, I'm kind of go for it.
Because here, real quick, Greg, I just want to say this. I feel like that this whole season it's been a back and forth of coaching errors. Like potentially what you could say are coaching errors, but then this, which is more of like developmental mental focus issues. That I mean, does coaching have an impact on mental focus in terms of like focusing on taking care of the football? Like in terms of blocking assignments, like the CJ Bailey, fumble. I mean, that was just a guy that just came in just completely unblocked, and CJ had no clue he was coming until it was too late. So, I mean, it's just, yes, I get it that yes, then they like Doran's not out there like literally like putting Kendrick's fingers on the football, as he's running with it. But at the end of the day, it's just a focus thing. Like in the red zone, you can't have those mistakes. It's just back-breaking mistakes like that. But go ahead, Greg. Give us your thoughts on this.
Yeah, the only thing I would say coaching-wise is we still can't line up, 4 men in the, people in the backfield, pre-snap motion penalties, just things that you learn on day one of camp that you just have to go out and do. And it's the mental mistakes that are costing this team. 5 yards is a lot when you only are rushing for 82 yards. You're putting yourself in obvious passing situations, and you're letting the defense tee off on you. You got to stay ahead of the chains and keep the defense honest. If not, they're going to just put their ears back and go after them or play soft zone because they know that you're going to throw underneath and hope to break a play.
Yep.
So again, not on Doran per se, but the coaching staff as a whole.
No, absolutely. Michael, any thoughts on that before we move on to our next comment here?
No, Greg said I will.
Yeah. Tracy saying, I feel like we may have used up all of our good juju during basketball season. I mean, it's so funny, Greg, because all I keep thinking about is Steve Dagon Smith saying, NC State, they're looking forward to basketball season. They're a basketball school. And I'm sitting here like, no, we're not. No, we're not.
No.
I think, but I think, but I mean,
definitely last season we were not.
No, definitely last season we were not, but just anyway.
Well, it's funny too because, like, to her point, we were picked 8th in women's, and I don't even know what it was in men's. I think it was like 10th or 11th or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like
something double digit wise.
Back middle ACC.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of caught lightning in a bottle there, and of course you had the baseball team making their run, and yeah, I guess this is the price you pay for a successful season, and football kind of sets the tone for the year, and it just doesn't feel great. It's a little ominous, to say the least.
Agreed. Children saying the great comment about the not getting married during state football, saying my husband and I got married on a Wolfpack bye week, how it should be. Love
That's
that.
probably why the relationship is probably successful.
Exactly right. It was exactly right.
My daughter made the mistake in getting married in the middle of football season a few years ago, and wasn't happy about it, but had to be there to support it, unfortunately. No,
good for you, Greg.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, that shows true love right there, though. The fact that you even NC State football game isn't going to hold you back from going to your daughter's.
Thankfully for her, it was an away game.
There
you go.
Amen. So D-Rube 75 asking, which offensive lineman can contribute next season? We lose 4 starters. It's scary to think about.
We've I want to say drafted, but it's not drafted. It's recruited. We've recruited well in that position the last few years.
Agreed.
I think we have 2 back, Carius Peak and Anthony Carter. He's Anthony Carter. We were talking about that in the Discord today. He is a graduate student because he's graduated, but he does have another year of eligibility if he wants to take it.
Do so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I will say though is
wait. Did you say Discord? We have a Discord, don't we?
Oh.
We do have a Discord. That's right. Yeah, no, make sure y'all to go check out our free Discord. Appreciate the tag there, Greg, as well. I'll make sure to put the link in the chat here if anybody's not already a member, and make sure to come and join us for sure and talk all things NC State. Yeah, I mean, so I do want to talk a little bit about the offensive line here for sure. That Syracuse, at least per PFF, they didn't have a terrible game for sure. They were in the low 70s in terms of pass blocking, run blocking wasn't that good. But obviously you think about the free blitzer that caused the CJ Bailey fumble in the red zone. And here's my frustration is that it's just such a senior led crew, and people, and I get it. People say, I mean, just because you're experienced doesn't mean that you're great. Experience isn't everything. But I'm also sitting here saying, well, Tim McKay, I mean, he's a guy that has been in consideration for all ACC contention. You got Anthony Bell on the left side, who is, still talked about as, day 1, day 2, potentially.
Nope,
nothing at all.
I don't think so.
Not anymore.
He has not helped his stock, if you ask me.
Well, no, he hasn't helped, but still his build though is just so
you
prototypical NFL.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to say still, hopefully, middle, third, fourth, hopefully 5th round, but before the season, he was talked about as a 1st round draft pick, that period. And that has fallen away. And then you also got a guy in Zeke Correll who, was starting at Notre Dame last year.
He's been solid.
And he's been solid, but just as a collective unit, it just has not been what we've needed it to be, and just like D-Rip is saying, it's like, it's not like you're developing these guys. This is it for most of them, and so it's just, I don't know. It's just frustrating because again, I love Garrett 2J, love him as a man, love his family. I mean, his family has become legendary within his state fans, and rightfully so. But it's just like, man, it's just I've just expected more. Am I way off base by that, Greg?
No, I mean, he's a really good coach, great recruiter, and we probably will
Absolutely.
talk about something that happened today, probably a little bit later in the tweets of the week.
Yeah.
He's developed NFL talent. I just don't know what it is, to be honest with you. It's definitely frustrating. I think we can all agree on that. I think if we had Coach 2J here with us right now, I'm sure he would be frustrated too. But the thing is, they still go to work every day and try to make guys better. And I don't know it.
Yep.
At this point in the season, I think we're just all frustrated, and it's really hard to just pinpoint to one particular thing. And things haven't gone right. We've had injuries. Again, injuries aren't excuses, but when you don't have solid depth behind them, not speaking on anyone particular, because CJ has done a wonderful job, but it's just tough. It's really tough.
Yeah. And I think that's talking about the run game specifically. Like, it's obviously the O-line is a big focus on that, but there's other aspects that go into it. We've gone away from it a little bit, which has been good, but the heavy sets at the beginning, like you had a lot of tight ends and fullbacks blocking, and
it was obvious what's
struggled
coming, right?
At times. Yeah. And the running backs, they've been not as great as we were expecting, especially, Jordan Waters, he brought him in to be the main guy, and he really has been. So it's kind of just a team collective errors.
But to Waters, defense, if you will, and we're not taking any side. He ran behind 2 NFL draft picks last year at Duke, and one of them was a first rounder.
Makes a big difference. Yeah,
it's a big difference. It's a big difference, and I think their offense was more dynamic last year with him in it. They're a pretty good offense this year, but it just sometimes just talent doesn't, it's not always about talent. It's about fit. It's about scheme. There's so much that goes into it. It's not just an automatic plug and play. He's going to be successful at this place.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely. And obviously James talking a little bit about how the spread offense is our weakness for NC State. It's always been teams that use the spread offense get state defense in a bad position. I can't really speak too much about that. I was obviously none of us necessarily are the football experts that others might be, but listen, for NC State this year, I feel like with Tony Gibson defense has always had a bend but don't break approach, and obviously you saw that in this game where that Syracuse would threaten, we'd hold them, and as I think it was Carson pointed out earlier that most of the touchdowns that Syracuse had were off of NC State turnovers. So where we didn't necessarily put our defense in a great position to bend but not break. And at the end of the day, they only gave up 24 points, which with the offense we should and are supposed to have, we should be able to win this game. So and again,
let's give McCord some credit. He's a good quarterback. He's not some scrub. He's leading the ACC top 5 in most statistical categories. So he threw for 346 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's a good quarterback. He played at Ohio State last year, and I thought he was good at Ohio State, and things got a little weird today, in today's age with NIL and so that's a good offense. They've got talent. Number 7, Meeks, I think is his name. He just caught a ton of passes, and then you have Gatson, who's been there seems like for 20 years. He's good ball player. The running back was really solid. Didn't do a whole lot, but it's just tough. And they got rid of the ball so fast, so it's really hard to get to a quarterback when they have a quick release, and they're in the shotgun, and he's like just throwing 5, 6, 7 yard slants for the most part, it seems, and we just couldn't make some tackles too. I don't know how many missed tackles we had, but it felt like we had more than we should.
Oh yeah, 100%. So the one thing which I do want to talk about, was saying, Doran does a great job after bye weeks. Unfortunately, we have the last possible first bye week there is. And here's my thing, guys. Like, I listened to Doran's press conference today, and
I gave up.
It's because I was listening because while I was mowing the lawn today, and so I was listening to podcasts, whatever that may be, and I was like, all right, let me just hear what Doran has to say. I'm just curious, like, how his reaction is to this game, and especially with all the famous comments he's made during press conferences recently. And I love Doran to death. I mean, because again, as a person, he's phenomenal father, phenomenal, human being, phenomenal leader of men for sure. I mean, there's no doubt that he treats his players like his own sons, and he's done a great job of developing players that when they come to state, they're taken care of, and they're grown in terms of a student, as a person, as a man, and so can't say enough good things about him. But the one thing which I've definitely have learned this to focus on this year for sure, and I've noticed a lot of, is that Doran, whether things are really good or things are really bad in press conferences, he is just even keel, just flat line, just like no emotion whatsoever if things are really good or really bad. And honestly, like just today, I feel like it would be one of those, or even after the game, would be one of those press conferences where I'd see just a little bit of just frustration, especially too being that has challenged NC State fans in terms of supporting, and he admitted, rightfully so, that that the fans, students showed out, and so kind of a little bit of frustration of being like, I appreciate the fans because y'all did your part, man. You guys were loud. You guys were, were into it. You guys did your part. But unfortunately, we did not do our part. Us as coaches, us as players, us as a team, we did not deliver what you guys deserved in return. And so it's like, not necessarily like pissed off, calling people out, but just a little bit of that, like, man, like it just pisses me off that we laid an egg in the fourth quarter against Wake Forest, and a night game in Carter Finley Stadium in our own house, and just didn't execute. Just did not execute once again. Yeah. So that's just my frustration a little bit, just like being like, man, like, give me a little bit of fire. Give me a little bit of something, just to, instead of just making the comment of, well, all we could do is keep fighting. It's like, well, have we been fighting? I
mean, they definitely fought. They were down 24-7 going in the fourth quarter, and that you could have just called it a night and you just taken your L. I get it. For people that are listening to this podcast and not watching, Leighton is just over there just losing his mind with his head shrugs and winces, and yeah, I mean, if this team had just said, the heck with it, we'll just get on the plane and head out to California, then you can maybe question Doran, and I know people are still going to question, but the culture is still there. Guys are still fighting. He hasn't, quote unquote, lost the locker room. I know people don't want to hear these things, but look, you're just, and we've said it. I feel like at least me, I don't know about you guys, I feel like a broken record every week. We're just saying the same things over and over about this team, just not being able to just get over the hump, whatever that is. And it's the stupid little crap, man. It's the penalties. It's the, missing tackles. It's just turnovers, whatever the case may be, missing a field goal.
Self-inflicted stuff.
Self-inflicted. And you would think at some point, especially with this team, at most positions, they're very senior, veteran type players, that we would not be making this mistake in week 7, 8 of the season.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I mean, definitely. Here's my other thing too, as well. Just, I feel like that, like thinking about it even too. I remember like before the season, we talked a lot about like, where does, who is like the best NC State football teams that Doran's had during his tenure, and the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, honestly, I'm taking 2017, man. And not only just because of how much talent we had on both sides, but also too, we had so many leaders as well, man. Thinking back on it, like Chubb, Hill, Justin Jones. I mean, alone those guys. And on the offensive side, Garrett Bradbury, Ryan Finley did his part. Kelvin Harmon was a big voice in the locker room as well. Like, it's so many leaders as well as talent. I still think that this on paper is up there in terms of should be one of the most talented teams, but just again, I'm just like Davin Van has been by far the leader of the team, It's a lot of young guys,
Young
and just
talent.
I think that this is that situation where, like, just like we had last season, we need that leader to step up in the locker room. And I mean, Peyton Wilson and Brandon Armstrong were humming, singing those leadership praises to help get us out of that tough hole we were in. And so
it's interesting you mentioned those two names, right? Because if you think about it, that's your quarterback. So you want your quarterback kind of to be a natural born leader. And I'm not saying that Bailey isn't, but Bailey is also a true freshman trying to find his way and trying to find his voice. And then you had Peyton Wilson, who's the middle linebacker. And so, grad guy, just that's who you need to step up in those leadership positions. And it just doesn't feel that we have that guy, at least in front of the microphone, right? Because both of those guys would get up in front of the press and, say what they had to say. And it doesn't feel like that. Obviously with the Grayson McCall injury, he's not really talking a lot to the press. And then, Davin Van, I think he's vocal, but just not like the in your face kind of vocal. Zeke Correll, I haven't seen him much as far as that. And then Sean Brown just doesn't seem that kind of, leader either.
No.
That's not to say that they're not leading. It's just different styles. And look, maybe this is a team that needs the in your face kind of leader, for accountability purposes, and not the more lead by example.
Yeah.
Every team's built different.
Very much so. Very much agree. So real quick, also too, because Carson makes the comment saying, I don't think I've ever seen a time of possession like the one we saw Saturday night, where Syracuse had the ball for almost 37 minutes.
Yeah,
we had it for 23 minutes. Syracuse just dominated possession of the football. While all in that case, we basically tied with them in terms of total yardage. They had 424 yards of total offense. We had 411 yards of total offense.
Yeah.
But as we pointed out, we had 3 turnovers. They had
and a missed field goal.
That's the frustrating part, because it's, State was more explosive. They were more efficient when they had the ball. Obviously, we had it almost half as much as Syracuse, and those turnovers really.
And to think about it, we had 8 possessions in the game, 1 missed field goal and 3 turnovers. So you didn't score. You had and on those 3 turnovers, we probably would have scored something more than likely.
Even if you just get
you hit 3 field goals.
3 of those 4 possessions, the one where you missed a field goal and then the 3 you turned it over. Even if you just get 3 of those 4 ending in field goals, which would not be great, it would probably that would be enough to win the game.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, also too, the fact that, between Jordan Waters, between Jordan Waters, Kendrick Raphael, and Hollywood Smothers, you had, if I could do some math here real quick, you had 54 yards. Sorry, you had 58 yards rushing combined between those 3 guys.
Yeah, the quarterback had like 28 yards.
43 yards. Yeah, CJ Bailey 43 yards.
43, okay.
And then we had 97 total yards of rushing as a team. So but also too, we didn't really run the ball that much though either. Between Jordan Waters, Kendrick Raphael, and Dalen Smothers, Hollywood Smothers, we ran the ball 17 times combined between those 3 guys. So just rushing the ball was not a part of our off. But here's the other thing though too. You may say, well, CJ must have thrown the ball 40 plus times. No, he only threw the ball 24 times.
Yeah.
Wait, you said no? CJ Bailey
back to the time of possession. We just didn't have the ball a lot, so we didn't run a lot of plays either way.
What stats are you looking at? Because I'm looking at CJ Bailey, 7 rushes, 28 yards.
PFF.
They maybe take out sacks.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they probably take out sacks. Yeah. They took out sacks because he also got sacked twice, so that makes sense.
All right.
Yeah. So that's what happened.
It should be. You shouldn't get penalized for getting sacked.
No, not for rushing yards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, and also too, Children saying we punted 1 time. That's also a crazy.
That's crazy too.
That's a terrible but crazy stat. we punted. So you think he punted 1 time. He must have put up 50.
That's great. Yeah.
Nope. 17. Yeah.
See, we talked about, like I said earlier, a broken record. Each week we just find a different way to not win a ball game. It's like
maddening. obviously Clemson and Tennessee, we were just terrible and totally outmatched. And then this Wake and Syracuse games, like, on a offensively, I think we were pretty decent, and it's just like I just don't understand. It's like this. It's painful just to see us lose in that way. Like,
and you think about it, you go make one play. So one play is a touchdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's 24-24. You take your chances at overtime. One play against Wake, I don't remember what the score was.
Right, get one of those fourth down stops on the last drive against Wake.
Then you're 5-2.
Yeah,
5-2, and we're having a completely different conversation tonight.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. Absolutely. And again,
but that's the small differences of what a successful team is and isn't.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Well, and that's my other frustrating thing too, is Dorn made the comments about, how we're still learning how to win, but we're also learning how.
You shouldn't be.
Well,
sorry. I know that was your moment, but
nope.
Sorry.
Well, I think it means more for you, because again, this year I've been the one that's been like kind of, but I mean, the fact that you even say that, it's like exactly like we've built that culture. I thought we're past that in terms of learning how to win.
Mm-hmm.
You like Clemson. Once Deshaun Watson and Mike Williams and those guys came in, they learned how to win, and it didn't stop really. I mean, from there on out, I know they had a little bit of a lull, but here they are back again, back in the top 10, back looking just fine. Like it's we should be past that.
Yeah. I think every year though, and every team, especially the transfer portal now, is different, and you're still going to have little windows. Like, we had a core group of players from like 2020 to 2023 and headlined by like, Devin Leary on offense, Emeka Emezi, Peyton Wilson, and Drake Thomas, Isaiah Moore. Those guys, they were together for 3 years. And I think we're kind of, we're right at kind of the start of another. We have got a lot of young talent. You brought in a lot from the transfer portal, older guys. And
Well, I mean, Chilton's comment though, right here, I think Dave Doran would be better taking the Dabo approach, develop players instead of bringing in transfers. So are you saying that that's what he should do? Take a little bit of a different approach now?
Well, it's hard because when you talk about it like that, it's year 12. He hasn't really, he doesn't have any trophies yet, no hardware yet. So every year is going to be a win now year, and you need transfers to do that, right? I mean, if you want to build up and develop your program, you've got to be okay with a year or two of rebuilding, and then you have a 2-year window to capitalize on that. And I don't think he can really afford to do that at this point.
It's funny, we talked about it especially with men's basketball, right? And it's just trying to get over a hump, get some momentum, stack things on top of one another. And we kind of thought this was going to be the year that we started that stack, and it's not. And so, and I've talked to some of the NIL folks, and I don't want it to turn into another NIL conversation, because it feels like every week we're having to have some kind of variation of that. Yes. But there was a lot of expectations to be able to start something this year, and to start that climb, if you will, or get over the hill or the mountain or whatever. And you're not. And look, we've taken a step forward. Now we're going to take a step or two back. And at some point, you have to get that momentum and sustain the momentum. And I get it. 8 wins, 9 wins is nice. It really is, especially, when we had the end of Chuck Amato and Tom O'Brien years, it was not as exciting. And Dave has finally gotten us to the point. But at the end of the day, he's got a under 500 record again in the ACC, and that we still struggle against top competition. And I get fans' frustrations about all of that. I really do, because it's like, okay, you're 12. What are we doing? Yeah. Where are we at? And I don't have an answer for it. And I know you're going to probably pull up that letter here shortly, but what does Boo do? And we talked about it last week. It's a $27 million, $30 million buyout. I don't know how many people are lining up to pay that, at least not this year.
No, agreed. Well, especially too, because of the fact that, it's not been good in terms of performance on the field, but in terms of, just, again, I can't even try and find the positives right now, because there's just so many glaring negatives. Like, how much money we put into this team, and we're we're 3-5, we're what 3-4 right now, and we're
3-4, 0-3. We're behind.
0-3 in the ACC.
We are behind.
Yeah.
Here's you want to hear something really crazy. Florida
What's
State's 1-5, but yet they're ahead of us in the ACC standings because they won.
True, they got one. They got one
Bro,
win.
there's literally power rankings out there that have us last and FSU at 16th. Like that's just, again, it's just,
you can't argue it though. I mean, you're 0-3,
Yeah.
and you're
I've always, I mean,
you're going West Coast now,
Yeah.
staring down the barrel of 0-4. No one had that on their bingo card at the beginning of the preseason or before the season started.
Nope. And I mean, it might literally come down, Greg, that we're going to Chapel Hill with us or UNC going to a bowl game another night.
Hell, it might be their first ACC win.
Yep. I mean, bro,
I don't
like
see us going.
No, I don't.
That was hyperbole.
Yeah, I know.
That was a clip for later. You can post that on Instagram or Twitter.
But Greg, literally Georgia Tech was trying to run out the ball and go to overtime.
I know.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like Greg, like Michael, you haven't been part of this, but Greg and I have said 100 times. There's been so many times this year where I would just love just be sitting here and crap all over UNC, being like, bro,
I know it's hard.
We really had a team that was trying to go to overtime. I was trying to say, please, let's just go to overtime. Let's move on. And UNC said, nope, you just go ahead and win. Go ahead. Just let me miss 3 tackles.
Right up the middle.
You go ahead,
run it.
Go ahead and win the game right now.
Everybody at the tailgate was like, they were talking about, I was setting up the tailgate and it was all going down. And they're like, oh, it looks like Carolina's going to win this game. They've came back and then I'm putting something on the grill and they're like, holy crap, Georgia Tech just won the game because Carolina didn't know how to tackle at the end of a ball game. And I was like, what? And I saw it and I was like, how do you let that happen? I mean, how do you? And so we can't even make fun of them because we've laid 3 eggs in the ACC.
Yep. Nope. Yep. I mean, like us and UNC football right now are like the strong hand meme.
Hold my beer.
Like,
hold my beer, man. Like
find a different way to lose. Yeah.
Exactly. But real quick though, before we get to some more of this here, I want to give a quick shout out to our amazing premium sponsor, y'all. As again, tonight is the last night to enter into our amazing giveaway for some NC State themed V2 Alpha Boost shoes from Adidas. So make sure if you want to enter into that giveaway, go right now, click that link in the description below, use that code Tuffy Talk and purchase anything from Oconee. For every $10 that you buy pre-tax and pre-discount, you will get 1 entry in order to win this amazing prize. So make sure to go and do that. And also, while you're doing that as well, you're also getting some amazing Oconee Gold products like their Oconee Gold Dust, y'all, their Oconee Gold Carolina Gold, vinegar barbecue sauce, which is delicious. So again, y'all, make sure to go and enter into that giveaway right now before it's too late, y'all, because once it hits midnight, entries are closed, y'all. So do it now before it's too late.
I had people stealing wings before I had sauced them. They're like, "Oh, these are good wings," and I'm like, "Hold up." Mix the sauce on it. They're like, "Why did I eat the wing before the sauce?" I was like, "I tried to stop you," and so we had a lot of compliments on the wings at the tailgate. 30 pounds of chicken wings and a lot of sauce.
Still do the wingy in white?
I did the wingy in white, man. Like I like just the wingy by itself, but you add the wingy in white. And it's got just the right amount of heat too. When you mix the two, they're not too spicy. So it's a really good flavor for a big crowd like we had on Saturday night.
Well, and it's funny too because my parents made up some brisket last weekend. And I sent my wife a picture because I'm not usually a really spicy guy, but I actually sent a picture of me using the spicy Oconee Gold sauce on it. And my wife was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, trying something different, babe. She's like, you like that? I'm like, yeah, it's actually, I mean, it's got a little bit of kick, but it's not overwhelming by any means for sure. So so I mean, for anybody who's scared by the spicy or the jalapeno, covering, it's not going to blow your sauce.
You're so
off.
Cute covering. It's called sauce, Leighton.
Yeah, right. So cute. Amen. So again, y'all, make sure to go into that giveaway here today. Click the link in the description below right now. Go use that code Tuffy Talk to get 15% off your entire order. And for every $10 you donate before taxes, before discount, you get 1 entry into our giveaway for some NC State themed V2 Alpha Boost shoes, y'all. So go and do that here right now. Getting back to it though, so I do want to bring up here that letter that you had referenced there, Greg, which definitely I want to hear your thoughts on here first, and then Michael will let you get into it.
Have you seen it yet, Michael? Did you see it?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
So Boo Corrigan saying, Wolfpack Nation, thank you. We want to take a moment to send a thank you to each and every one of you for always being there and standing with us. Wolfpack Nation has been tremendous so far in 2024, selling out every home football game every home game in football, marking 20 straight capacity crowds, lighting Charlotte red for the Dukes Mayo Bowl Classic, setting a new attendance record for our volleyball team, and eclipsing 3,000 fans in a men's soccer match for the first time since 2011. And you haven't just shown up, you've made your presence known. Thanks to your passion and love for the Wolfpack, the atmosphere at our games has been electric. It means so much to our student athletes and coaching staffs. Together, we will continue to fight, but please know how much we appreciate you. Thank you. Be well, Boo Corrigan.
Can I, before I get into my take, like I was at the women's softball, and we'll talk about it more probably later.
Sure. Yes.
There was a bunch of people at the women's softball scrimmage yesterday. A bunch.
Yep.
So it's not just in the revenue sports. You mentioned a couple of non-revenue type sports there. So now I'm into my take. But it's just I'm curious to why now. Why did that letter come out on a random Monday after another tough loss? The timing is definitely odd, suspicious. I don't know if it's, I was joking in some chats like, well, that's just damage control. I don't know if it really is, or just that's truly how they feel about things. If it's in some of the comments, because people have made comments over the last couple of weeks about Coach Doran's comments about the fans. I don't know if it's in relation to any of that, but the timing is definitely weird. But that's just what NC State fans do too. Like, we will come out and show up to whatever it is. Even if we aren't having our best seasons, we still show up to events. And that's who we've always been, and who I think we will always be. And I don't know if and I know that they're not trying to take, they're not taking that for granted that we show up, but it is nice to have that letter come out, but I just don't understand the timing of it.
Carson saying there may have been some sort of relation between, also too as well with the volleyball side, even as well with the volleyball record as well, because we're talking about a probably the earliest in its history program, quote unquote, at NC State is probably volleyball. They're just still so at the beginning stages. Still,
I like Chilton's comment here. If you could bring that up for a second, I think that there might be something to that. I saw a lot of talk about that on Facebook today. Some people were talking about, because of all the price changes in both the ticket sales, if you don't have lifetime rights, and then the parking passes cost increase going up.
Yeah, it's going up.
Maybe there's something to that. That's a really good point.
And for those listening, Chilton said the comment, our season tickets for football may be not selling, and that's a good point. That's a good question. So
I know I had my rep call me last week because I hadn't renewed yet. I always just wait till later on. I don't know why. I just kind of just have it. And they're like, hey, give me the spiel. I'm like, bro, I'm good. I'm gonna come back. Don't you worry. I don't know who you realize you're talking to, but I will be there. I just haven't done it yet. So maybe there is some truth to that.
Maybe, but for me, it's just maybe a little bit of damage control. But maybe there's some underlying aspects, just like you said, with that as well. But definitely when a athletic director comes out with comments specifically talking about something that the head coach has said, stuff that the fans have shot back about, it's very weird, very interesting. But let's be clear that 99.99999%, unless we have just some crazy donor out of nowhere that's just really pissed off and ready to move on from Dorn, Dorn's going to be our head coach next year, y'all. It's not really a question.
So here's my thing: if you don't want Dorn, you better start playing that Powerball.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Exactly. There's going to have to be a lot of money again to pay $30 million to pay off a head coach, and then have enough money to also hire that big time head coach that you also want to hire to replace him and be better than him.
Yeah, because to your point, you're looking at probably $60 million when it's all said and done, because you're not going to get a coach for less than $5 million that's worth anything, and they're going to need at least a 4 to 5 year contract, and then you got to pay the old coach. So you're looking at $50 to $60 million to bring in a new coach.
Exactly. So, but again, it's just kind of one of those things that I get it, because I'm also kind of, it's just kind of one of those things that, I mean, listen, I mean, as NC State fans, we understand we understand misery. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to still be here even through misery. And so I just have a hard time, obviously just saying, like as if football season's over. I mean, again, God forbid, Greg, you're going all the way across the country. You know what I mean? Like, like you're the first thing from calling the season over. But listen,
don't use me as the example, because I'm pretty dumb. Like, I don't know any better. Like,
yeah, but I am very excited though for this prime time with the Pack though. That's going to be taking place, and again, raising 2 banners to the rafters, with ACC and a Final Four banner. Like, that's going to be so amazing.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because my guy Josh is always on it.
Hold on, can I?
Go for it.
Talk on the boo letter. I don't think it's coincidence at all. I don't think it's coincidence at all.
No.
I mean,
no.
I
gave it to us very
thought out.
Well, yeah. I'm also one of the people who personally I don't really care what Dorton says at his press conference. He talks about the fans all the time. Like I'm pretty sure like after his first
game, this isn't anything new, right? He's been doing this for years.
He talked about pass outs after like the first game he coached here. And it is what it is. But
you can do that when you're 7-0.
Right. It's a lot. Right. And nobody cares when you're winning, but obviously, so it's a lot harder. And I think this letter is just Boo's way of telling the fan base, yeah, we hear you. We hear you.
Simmer down.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're okay. Like, yeah.
Is it kind of a little bit of like, the critique that he gets versus Debbie Howe being like how Debbie Howe just always had, just was public. And this is kind of a little bit of, just like you said, that Boo Corrigan being like, I hear you. Like, we got it, like 100%. Maybe a little bit of that.
Yeah, definitely. Especially since he doesn't do social media. So this is exactly. We're going to get to social media. But conversely, he comes out and does this, and it just seems weird and awkward that he sends. And then so now people are questioning him even more. It's like, well, why now? Why all of a sudden? And then he's not doing himself any favors. And again, it is not Doran, it is not Boo. It's just State fans being State fans, and like we love to find controversy when there may not be any controversy to be there, but we got to bitch about something because we're 3-4 and 0-3 in the conference. So sorry, Boo, you're now the target of opportunity.
Exactly. Yep. But yeah, Michael, any final comments from that before we move on to talking about the raising the banners? Yeah, because I definitely mentioned to Greg what you're about to say here about our good buddy Josh Goodson.
He's always on fire.
He's leading the charge.
Oh, he is. Yeah, he always does, and I'm so thankful to call him a friend and get some of his insight off of Twitter, because he's just as good off of Twitter as he is on Twitter, because anything he says in our conversations, he'll put it out on Twitter and just let people go at it and let them eat themselves. But he posted a picture of the tickets that are available on Monday, the November 4th game. And, there's a lot of tickets left. There's way too many tickets to be left for, we haven't raised a banner to this magnitude. Not only are we raising an ACC championship banner, which we hadn't done since 1987, we haven't raised a Final Four banner since 1983.
Yep.
And there's a ton of tickets left. Like a lot of tickets. So Wolfpack Nation, go out and support this team. I know it's upstate. I think it's upstate South Carolina, upstate. Who are they playing?
Yeah, upstate. South Carolina, upstate.
Upstate. Yeah, South Carolina, upstate. Thank you. I know. Look, go out and watch some banners being raised, and go out and watch an exhibition game that's going to count as the regular season. So, go do it. And I know it's a Monday night and it's PNC.
Yeah, that's the only thing. It's like they couldn't have made it a weekend game. I think that would have been a little bit better, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Is it a 9:00 game? Because that would have probably just been the icing on the cake. I don't think
it's a 9:00.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Michelle is saying right here, Monday night is hard for lots of people. I did get 3 tickets anyway.
There you go, Michelle.
Good for you, Michelle. There you go. I love it.
Yeah. 7 o'clock game.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would be there. I would love to be there. I'm teaching that week, and so I can't miss work. And it's frustrating because you're right. If it was a Saturday or Sunday, I'd have been there in a heartbeat because I think it's going to be such a cool moment to see those banners go up into the Lenovo Center, which is still hard to say. But yeah, like go out, like give these guys their support, and this has been a long time coming.
Yep,
it's not like we do this every year, folks.
Nope, it's not. No, it's not. And here's my other thing too is I definitely love the new banners though. Like now they're
nice.
like having
the updates,
brand new banners.
Yes.
Like they're so white and clean, and it's like, oh, finally get some
matches
new
the font
logo
everywhere. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. That was a really good idea.
Agreed, 100%. So yeah, I love that. But also too as well, y'all. I mean, again, I got to give obviously volleyball and then those guys. I mean, huge props. I mean, what they've been accomplished over the last week specifically. And I mean, before I say this, know that I get it. We went to number 5 Stanford, and we lost, but we lost 3-1. We didn't get swept. We actually won one set against them, which you may say, well, seriously, you're going to celebrate winning one set? Well, again, with where we are as a volleyball program, going on the road all the way to Stanford, California, winning a set, I mean, that's not easy at all. That's not easy. So it's like, okay, I like that. But then, I mean, the real cherry on top is you come at home and you play UNC and Duke and back-to-back nights, and you win against UNC 3-1, then you sweep Duke 3-0. Like that's.
Carolina had only lost one match.
Right. No, I mean, UNC's what was flirting with top 25 status actually. So, yeah. I mean, they're a really good team, at least per top 25 rankings, and we controlled that entire match from beginning to end, winning 3-1. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And actually breaking, I think UNC had an 8-year win streak against NC State volleyball as well. So something crazy like that. So again, I just love seeing what we're doing here. Yeah, no. Again, it is a program that's on the rise, and it's not necessarily kicking down doors, but listen, there is a floor that's being set here, and there's an excitement that's being set as well. I mean, NC State fans are taking notice with the fact that, yeah, just like Buke Oregon saying that we're breaking attendance records for volleyball matches. That's awesome. So love that. And then Carson saying I was at both the volleyball games talking about UNC and Duke, and he said the Duke game was not even close. Yeah, I love that.
We beat them last year to end the streak, so we actually beat the streak last year.
Gotcha. Appreciate that.
Back-to-back years we beat them.
Started our own streak.
Even better. And Andy's saying, talking about the banner, saying it's crazy having men's basketball and women's basketball racing banners in back-to-back night. That's tough to choose.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's not tough to choose.
Well, yeah. Andy doesn't live in next door to next door. He makes a haul. I think he's down in the Charlotte area, if I'm not mistaken. So it's I don't know, maybe get a hotel and stay and then hit both of them. Yeah.
There we go. See, now we figured it all out for you, Carson. You got
called the Greg special.
The Greg special.
That's what I did yesterday. Yeah. We'll talk about it when we talk about softball.
Well, we'll talk about softball right now. I mean, listen, I mean, I can't speak enough good things right now about softball, y'all. And it was even funny that somebody commented on one of my tweets talking about one of the top 50 recruits that was coming to Raleigh this past weekend for a visit. And they made a comment like, man, you would think that we're recruiting like right now as if we're a top 25 team right now. I'm like, we're getting close. We're pretty close in terms of, I mean, again, there's I'm telling you this right now. I said it last year with gymnastics. I'm saying it over the next 3 years. We're gonna be flirting with College World Series. We're gonna be flirting with AC Championship over the next 3 years. I can almost guarantee it. I'll play my spear on it. I mean that with Coach Leftwich and the development we saw, particularly just alone with last year's team, combined with what she's building from a culture, from a raising the floor with talent perspective. I mean, again, bring in the number 5 overall recruit in the country for the class 2026. And over the last 3 weeks alone, she's brought on campus 8 different top 100 recruits for the class of 2026. 8 top 100 recruits for the class of 2026, which is 4 and 5 star recruits for your football and men's basketball recruiting people out there.
I mean, number 5 is definitely a 5-star recruit. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
I mean, and typically if you're top 100, you're you're a 4-star typically. So yeah, it's just can't say enough good things right now about softball and what Coach Leftwich and this crew and the staff is doing. So yeah, Greg, give us your thoughts, man. First of all, I loved Coach Leftwich's response to your tweet.
Yeah, it was great.
Saying that she couldn't be any more hype about you finally getting to a game and committing to being at more games in the future, man. So
yeah,
give us your thoughts, man.
Yeah, it was fun. For anyone that doesn't know, after all of the events that I went to last year with the 70+ events and 35,000 miles traveled, I put a tweet out just as something fun as a recap for the year. And I immediately got called out by Coach Leftwich, which I appreciated that. It was fun. And I love that about her. And we finally got to meet a couple weeks ago at Carter Finley when she secured Maddie Smith. And so, and I promised her that I would go to a game. And then yesterday I just had a fun tweet about it saying, look, my unofficial visit, since it's a fall ball game, I know it doesn't officially count, but I'm committing to getting to some games this year. And I DM'd her after the game and just kind of talking to her a little bit. And so I asked her thoughts. And if you don't mind, I'll share a couple of thoughts real quick that she shared with me that I wanted to make sure we passed along. I joked with her because I said, hey, Coach, like I'm brand new. I don't know these ladies' names, and you didn't have numbers on their jerseys. And so I was like, I want to give everyone props because, they played really well. First off, they won the doubleheader. They beat App State 5-3. They gave up the 3 runs in the first off of a home run, but then we came back and scored 4 in that frame. And then we ended up getting another run. And then we beat Brunswick College. Brunswick Community College. They came over, and I couldn't tell you the score because they scored so many. It was at least 15, 17, 18 runs. They weren't using the scoreboard, so there was no runs really officially being kept. But they shut them down, and we hit around a couple of times. But so one of the things that her takeaway was that it was so nice for her to see a couple of her ladies come back after multi-year injuries, and it was Peyton Bordeaux and Wynn Gore. So she was excited to see them out on the field for the first time after going through some stuff. And then the other thing was she was fired up about the crowd, like I had mentioned earlier. And that the other thing was a non-softball related thing that they did some great things for the community, taking hurricane relief supplies out there especially for the folks at Boone. She said that the Boone players had been taking shelter in the gymnasium for some time. And so just to kind of give them a little comfort of home. So those were some of the things that she wanted to make sure that we passed along. And Coach, it was a pleasure just chatting with you last night on the DMs. And you've got a bunch of fans here at Tuffy Talk, and we're going to do all we can to help spread this thing and grow the game because you're doing something special.
Amen. Nope. I told Coach, I said, Coach, 4 years ago, I went for the first time to Omaha for the World Series. And I said, whenever y'all make it to the Women's College World Series for the first time, you can bet your butt that no matter what's going on, no matter what my schedule is, no matter what I'm doing, I'm going to Oklahoma City and I'm going to be there. So,
it was fun. It was fun.
Awesome.
Softball's a little different from baseball. I'm a baseball guy, and so learning some of the little nuances. So I'm learning that, and met some of the parents, and they were fantastic. And I'm excited to get back to some games in the spring. And I even told my wife that if baseball isn't home and softball is, we'll even make down some trips, especially just for softball. We'll do it a couple of times, but
that's awesome.
I think they're gonna be good. I was talking to some of the parents, and the parents just want fans to come out and support their children, and they deserve it. They're putting in a lot of hard work, and we need to go out and give them their due.
Yeah, no, again, y'all, because I've said it before, I'll say it again. Get on the bandwagon before you wish you got on sooner, and because it's not a matter of if you get on the bandwagon, it's when you get on the bandwagon, and the sooner you do, the more you'll be glad that you did. That's all I'm saying. So,
I mean, the train is still in the station, so get on board.
Exactly. And because even one stat that stood out to me, I can't remember which player it was that we had for a visit this weekend, but she had clocked in a time for her once she hits the ball to the point she gets to first base, she gets there in 1.75 seconds.
What? Is
Like,
she one of
that's
those
crazy.
slap hitters? She's gotta be one of those slap hitters that's kind of running through the box, right?
I would guess so, but like that's crazy. Like basically that tells me that
That's
she makes contact with the
crazy.
ball.
She got rockets on her cleats.
1.75
seconds.
I mean, it is only. I think it's only 40 feet, if I'm not mistaken.
That's still
Correct,
crazy.
still.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
That means the defense has
off
to get the
hitting
ball and make a
too.
play in less than 2 seconds.
Yeah, well, especially again, because we're talking about hitting the ball. We're not talking about like getting from first, second. We're talking about getting from home to first base.
Yeah.
1.75 seconds. That's crazy.
Trey Turner just said that's fast.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. Now, real quick.
Real quick.
Yep.
Shout out Coach Moore, who was actually at the softball game yesterday and just hanging out. And some of the a couple of the players were there. Isaiah James was there, and then the true freshman. What's her name?
Mario Jones.
No, not her. Tall, the girl from
Slipper?
Illinois.
Oh no.
Her last name begins with A. Aruhu. I'm still trying to learn names of it, but
yeah,
she's the 6'5" center, and so she was there.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it was really cool seeing other athletes supporting other athletes.
Yeah, which by the way, too, speaking of supporting other athletes, it's hilarious how much comments that we've gotten about the men's swimming and diving team being at the volleyball matches this weekend wearing just their Speedos in the stands, being like, who are these guys out at the game just in a group all just wearing Speedos? And it's like, it might
I might have to join them. I might have to join them.
I'm right there with you, Greg.
Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that.
No, but I love that. But real quick though, I wanted to shout out a couple of tweets of the week here. One from Craig Hamill saying how in-state men's basketball has 6 games against preseason top 25 teams, including 3 in the non-conference portion of its schedule. Numbers could go up to 7 total and 4 non-conference if Pac faces Ole Miss and San Diego in the Invitational. And
that's before the ACC, right? Or no, that is concluding ACC schedules.
Yeah. So basically 7 so basically 6 games against preseason top 25.
Got it.
3 of those are non-conference.
Gotcha.
So
with being Ole Miss potentially.
I think the immediate thing I take from that, Greg, is one of the biggest gripes NC State men's basketball gets every single year is non-conference is too weak. Well, guess what? Now we face 3 top 25 teams in non-conference.
We have Kansas and Texas on the schedule, and
Purdue.
Yeah.
And Purdue.
Yeah, I'm planning on flying out to Kansas for that game, so that'll be fun. Yeah.
Oh. Is it in Kansas? Is it at Kansas?
Yeah.
At
Holy
Kansas.
Smokes.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oh man. Woo. That's gonna be a doozy.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it's one of those places, right? Like, it's like going to Notre Dame for football. It's one of those historical places. If you have the opportunity to go do it, you got to go do it, because how many opportunities are you really? I mean, other than Notre Dame now, but it's not somewhere we go very frequently. So I wanted to make sure that I got that on the list.
Agreed. Now, was any? I mean, like, because I remember seeing some NC State people talking about how it's funny how the other 3 teams that made it to the Final Four last year are ranked in the top 15, but NC State wasn't even close to being ranked to the top 25 in this year's poll. Does that hold any water to that?
I'd have to. For me, I'd have to go back and look at those teams and who they're returning and everything, because I mean, we basically return Michael O'Connell and Jaden Taylor and Middlebrooks. Those 3.
Yeah, that were really big time contributors.
Yeah, and your key players, the DJs are gone too. So it's like, I'm not surprised at all. But yeah,
and it was a team too that did make it to the Final Four, but let's be real, they weren't.
A top 9-11 in ACC play. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, and especially, because Bama's returning their star player, Mark's. Is it Sears? Mark Sears. Yep. And then UConn's UConn, and then Purdue's a just an elite basketball program.
I think
so. Yeah. I mean, I wish that we got. I'm hoping out of it that we at least get a little bit more respect from the national media in terms of these guys are legit. In terms of that, if they hold water, they can hold some water. But I'm not saying I'm Greg. I'm saying this.
No, I get it. No, I know, but we're just not going to get that. We're not a blue blood, if you will.
We're not.
Media. And then, you'd lost a lot of production from that, and that we weren't quote unquote great to be there in the first place. I think. I hope they use it as motivation. I really get a little salty about it, and then I will be interested. I haven't really broken into basketball just yet. We're getting close though, not because of the schedule, because of how bad football is doing. That I may start turning my focus to that. But I'm cautiously optimistic. This is 2 years in a row that we've made the tournament and made the Final Four last year, and you hope that we've now built the momentum to where we can sustain this and not be fighting for a final last four in.
Right. Well, and I'm hoping too that I think honestly one of the things that last year figured out that will hopefully roll into the season is how to use Michael O'Connell effectively. In terms of what kind of a role he can serve that can make a team successful. Because I think that again, we saw that in the Purdue game last year. Once Michael O'Connell went down, everything changed for the team. And so obviously his team's going to be a little bit different, sure, because there's going to be some new pieces for sure. But I think we saw how Michael O'Connell, where he could be effective as a basketball player in terms of the skill he brings to the court. So I think that's hopefully one of the big things that will really give us that solid floor, combined with the fact that, what you're getting in Ben Middlebrooks, and the defensive prowess that Jaden Taylor is going to bring you as well. So, but we have a ton of talent, and again, there was a lot of praises sung for our transfer from Georgetown. That is not a transfer from UNC. He's a transfer from Georgetown. That's it. So again, I'm super excited for it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I'm excited. And I'm sorry, I was checking something real quick. I'm excited for the kid from Bowling Green. I think he's got a lot of potential. He might be one of those hidden gems that we didn't really see coming. And
yep, absolutely.
And
so
then we got the freshman coming in with McNeil.
Paul McNeil.
I think you're gonna have a nice thing with veterans and young kids, and just got to figure it, make it work.
Yeah,
agreed. So only last thing which I'll shout out is today we got the awesome news that we got a commitment from Brady Sakowitz, 6'6" offensive tackle, almost 300 pounds for the class of 2026. 3-star recruit, but he had offers from schools like Miami, Maryland, Pittsburgh, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, App State, us, Duke. So he had a lot of offers and a lot of solid offers, and committed to us pretty early in his process for sure for being a class 2026 commit. So love that for sure. And definitely a huge high praises for him in terms of the skill set that he can bring. Oh yeah, 100%.
Like the lineman that Coach 2J is bringing in, there's just a lot of talent, and I think he's just stockpiling dudes. It feels like every year, the last 2 or 3 years, we've just been stockpiling dudes, and I think it'll show. Hopefully, we'll start seeing some of that next year with some of these guys that he's brought in and they've been developing.
Yep, agreed. So. Yeah, and Chilton even saying when in regards to basketball, Middlebrooks got some swagger now. LOL. Yeah, no, I definitely see what he can build on this year instead of just being a backup rotation guy. Can he be more of a focal point of our team this year? That's going to be a big question for me that I'll be interested about, and we'll definitely do some more men's basketball previews here once we get closer here. But we're hoping that we can talk a little bit more about how football has turned it around and has a huge win. Oh man. All right.
No one's taking you serious right now, Leighton.
I know. Also too, obviously heard the news today as well with the news that Jihad Carter is no longer on the football roster for this season. I did take a look, and it is interesting that he played a significant amount of snaps versus Clemson, played a good bit versus Wake Forest, but then against Syracuse, he only played 2 snaps against Syracuse. So I think it's that, and looking at his grades, he only had 1 decent game per PFF, and that was against Louisiana Tech. But Clemson, Wake Forest, and Syracuse were all just terrible in terms of from a PFF grading perspective. And I mean specifically like the highlight, Greg, that we talked about is not necessarily saying just like you said that. I mean, at the end of the day, it was just a great play by Wake Forest, but at the end of the day, it was one of those guys was going to make a great play, and Jahad Carter had an opportunity to make a great play, but unfortunately, Wake Forest guy wanted more, made the play better, whatever you want to call it. And I think just maybe it's a little bit of a situation where Dorn said it best, a couple weeks ago that, listen, there's no job that's safe from a player perspective, like at the end of the day, he's going to find the best players it is. It doesn't matter, there's no such thing as loyalty. At the end of the day, he's going to find the best players that he can and put them on the field, period. And so I think maybe, were you seeing a little bit of that? The coaching staff kind of weren't really feeling very confident about what Jahad Carter was bringing in the moment. So we're going to try some other guys. And
Marcus Cooley.
Marcus Cooley looked really good, obviously, until he got the targeting penalty. So,
that was bad.
Yeah. He'll be out the first half, so you'll have to find someone step up.
Yep.
The way I look at it, and if I'm thinking, I think Carter that was his fourth game. Yeah, I was trying to think that was his fourth game, so he could technically preserve a red shirt. I think. So I think that part of that's just the timing, and I think he probably saw the writing on the wall that there was going to be a reduced role, and he probably wanted to be able to play more, and so he decided to step away. And it is what it is, and look. I won't.
I mean, you're not going to get too upset about it.
I'm not going to bash a kid that he decides that he wants to leave. If you don't want to be here, don't be here. That's the way I look at it. I'm going to root for the next person that plays.
Yep.
Especially if the young guy that was your backup is playing better than you now. So,
and then again, and that's why, I'm not going to judge it, because obviously we're just looking at it way on the outside end. But obviously, the picture that's painted right here is that you got beat out for your job, and then once you go all the way down to basically being a bench player, you walk away. But again, I'm not going to necessarily rely on that, because again, we don't know the full story.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. We don't know if there's more to the story.
We don't know, but that's the
picture.
And
he's been dealing with injuries too, right?
Yeah,
he sat out. He sat out the whole last season at Ohio State, and then obviously came into the season with a couple injuries. So I think it's just tough situation.
Yeah,
again, I mean, it's just kind of one of those things where, listen, to 95% of people, there's this picture that's painted, unfortunately for him right now, where he starts at Ohio State, he goes down to NC State,
and
Syracuse.
Then
Syracuse.
Yeah, he went from Syracuse to Ohio State.
Oh, it's right. Yeah, Syracuse to Ohio State, and then NC State. So he's gonna be going to his fourth school. That's
and the other part of it too, and rightfully or wrongfully, so he's going to be labeled as a quitter, and by some of the fan base, and I don't think that, again, that's a fair representation.
No,
people don't know the situation, and could he maybe have stayed and just been, here's the thing: if he's going to stay, he's not going to be able to redshirt here, because the staff is going to want him to play, and that he knows that he may not, he's healthy enough to play, but he's not healthy enough to be able to be really a bigger contributor, and he doesn't probably want to lose his last season to something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. Very true. And then also too, as well, obviously with the news of Caden Fordham being out for the season with the torn ACL, definitely hate that for sure. Here's my thing is, definitely losing him hurts for sure.
Your best tackler on a defense that's not
right.
Well, and exactly, like it's not like necessarily that Caden has necessarily blown doors off, but he's been by far our most productive guy that we've had. So definitely sucks for sure. But listen, next man up, got to keep doing it. And unfortunately for me, I just can't really accept injuries as an excuse, because it's football. Injuries are going to happen. It's a part of it.
Bonner played well. I think he had 9 tackles.
He did.
Yeah. So,
by the way, shout out DJ Kaufman. He continues to be just a solid player for us.
Yeah.
Like, where would we be without that dude?
He
was even returning kicks. Like, he had a nice kick return. And
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Anyway, y'all, but again, just super, super, excited. You get football season. I'm sorry, get basketball season here started, but hopeful that we can see some kind of glimmer of life and hope here at Cal. But also, got to honestly finish this off with the biggest shout out of them all, which has to go to our NC State football equipment staff. I mean, basically having an 8 p.m. game. That game gets over after midnight, and then they basically have to work through the night to get that thing packed and get it out, get the truck out, before the sun even comes up, in order for it to make it all the way to Cal by Thursday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, huge shout out to our football equipment staff.
All
they
the
don't get the respect they
yeah.
deserve. Yep. Amen. So, huge shout out there. But anyway, y'all, again, luckily enough for you, Greg, it's not a late game in Cal, which is, not too bad, right?
Yeah, that's good. That? It was funny because when they announced the time, I was like, oh yeah, 3:30 game, that'll be great. And then I was like, oh, that's East Coast time. It's going to be a 12:30 game in Cali.
12:30 game,
yeah. So, which is fine. We have an early flight Sunday, so I'm really not mad at it. We can get back and get ready to go, kick back home on Sunday. But
yep, exactly.
Yeah, right. It'll be fun. I've never been to that part of California, so I'm definitely looking forward to some of the sites, and we got some good stuff lined up to go check out. We're gonna go to the Rock, and we're gonna go out to Napa and
nice
find some things to make it worth our while, because that's the one I talked about, I think, last week. That's how I get my wife to go on these trips, is to kind of make it exciting and enticing for her, because especially this year, it's probably about the only thing we have to look forward to on these trips is the sites.
Yeah, no kidding. But anyway, and again, just love what we saw from CJ, again, throwing over 300 yards, 17 for 24, even ran the ball pretty effectively as well. So again, just keep revolving around that, and again, just next man up on the defensive side, keep plugging. Let's see what we can make out of it. So but anyway, y'all, and then for us, again, make sure, again, if you haven't already, this is your last opportunity, y'all, to enter into our amazing giveaway, y'all, for some beautiful in-state Alpha Boost shoes. Make sure to click the link below. Make sure to go use that code Tuffy Talk, and you'll be automatically entered to win these amazing shoes. And then make sure as well to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you enjoyed this conversation, leave a like button. If you're listening to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to us right now, make sure to leave us a 5-star review as well. We greatly appreciate that. But again, y'all, let's continue to support these guys as much as we have. Continue going all the way through to the end. Let's see what we can make out of it. As if we learned anything last year, it can always turn around, and you might never expect it, but it can always turn around. It's never too late. And then again, let's be excited about in-state football. Make sure to go buy your tickets for that November 4th exhibition game versus USC Upstate. And
it's not an exhibition. It's a regular. I was joking when I said an exhibition, because we're gonna go.
I thought it was an exhibition.
See? No. It's a
full out regular season game. Gotcha.
Yes.
So,
sorry. Sorry, my apologies for the confusion. I was
all good.
Yeah. I should have said a glorified exhibition is how I probably should have phrased it.
There you go. So let's go support our guys in a real regular season game versus USC Upstate, and raise 2 banners, y'all, to commemorate an awesome team and amazing time to be an NC State fan. But thank you all so much again for tuning in. Make sure to give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We'll see y'all soon. As always, go Pack, y'all.
Beat Cali.
Beat Cal, baby.